Well, hello there, ladies. So anyway, how have y'all been doing? Anxious? Curious? All the above? Ready to come through the screen and strangle me because I have not said anything? I am so sorry, y'all. Anywho, I wanted to talk about something really quickly that I feel like I need to discuss. And the only reason why I wanted to discuss this is because I've had about 3-4 people that actually hit me up through email and was kind of like, you know, how do you deal with this? How do you deal with this after this? So I kind of wanted to have like a little heart-to-heart, a quick heart-to-heart, hopefully. Hopefully this video won't be too long. And I kind of wanted to talk about that really quickly. I know it ain't the video y'all was hoping for right now. However, you know, baby steps. So anyway, I always get the question of, or the comment question about, you know, how I have joy after all that I have went through, you know, especially each time I do an FET cycle. And you know, just like I've said before, you know, it's hard. Y'all seen me. I've came to y'all raw. I've came to y'all rough, ragged, jagged, and everything else. And so, you know, the road has not been easy, and I have shared with y'all all feelings, you know, emotions, everything that, you know, I possibly could have hidden from y'all seen. So there was like nothing that y'all have not, you know, seen. Well, anyway, kind of going back over everything, what really helped me find the joy in each transfer was literally, you know, I would say the second one that I had was probably one of the most confusing that I had. That's the one that we had the baby that the heart stopped beating. Well, the thing is that with that one, I had so many mixed emotions. I was so confused. I was still hurt. I was still a little, you know, angry to some extent, that having to do it all over again. You know, it was a lot of emotions, and we were just now celebrating, you know, the 1-year birthday of the girls. It was just all these different emotions that was going on. And so I can honestly say, I mean, that one, I was an emotional basket case. Like, I literally would be on the phone with my husband crying, you know, and I was like, well, you know, what if this and what if that, and, you know, why I gotta do this all over again? Like, those feelings were just uncontrollable. Like, there's something I just couldn't control at that time. And it's so weird because I couldn't see it at that time that I was going through it, that I was reacting differently than how I thought I would react. And what I mean by that is that I thought I was fully healed from the loss of our girls. You know, we all visit that place at least once a year, their birthdays or their conception day or whatever day that you feel that you have a connection with. We all have that 1 day or 2 days out the year that we connect with, and we may have our emotional time or just out the blue where we really just like, you know what, I miss my baby or I miss my babies. And you know, but when it comes to doing a transfer, it's very easy to sink back into those old feelings if you allow it to happen. However, you must reframe and you must keep a good and positive attitude. Refrain from the thoughts that come, because the devil is busy, and the devil, he will put thoughts in y'all head. Because y'all remember that second transfer, I felt like the devil was trying to attack me. Like, literally, I would get these thoughts: your baby's not gonna live, your baby's gonna die anyway, you ain't having no symptoms, I told you this and that. I mean, I was going, like, I felt like I was in the mix of a battle between Jesus and the devil. I mean, God and the devil. I was like, literally, like, God, like, what is going on? Like, I think I told y'all the dreams I would have, and I would wake up in the middle of the night. I would have to grab my Bible, start praying. I mean, it was just so much going on, and I felt like I was not emotionally ready after it happened. I was like, you know what, that just really wasn't good timing, whoop-de-woo, whatever. So anyway, you know, it was kind of crazy because my husband was like, you know, we're gonna go into this FET, let's just be positive about it, you know. And I just kind of went into it with this real nonchalant attitude. I was just like, you know, let's just go ahead and get it over with, because in my mind I was like, it's gonna work, you know. I got pregnant the first time, it's gonna work, I'm gonna get pregnant, then we're gonna have this baby, but we're still gonna have our girls, blah blah blah. And then it became, after that loss, I really had to channel myself and be like, look, get it together. You say on one hand that, you know, you back to normal, you good, but your actions are not showing it. You know, your actions and what's coming out, or your actions and what's in your mind, is two totally different things. So my husband was like, you know what, he was like, you need to be happy about every transfer and be positive about every transfer. And if they don't work, we know we have unlimited FET, we can go to the next one, you know, and just keep going from there. But from now on, you know, we're gonna go into it positive, praying and hoping for the best. And then, you know, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, you know, don't get yourself, you know, upset, you know, and so on. So anyway, long story short, after that, on the third one, the failed one that happened, it was one of those things where we actually went into it excited. You know, we were more excited than the second transfer, but of course a little less excited than the first one. The third one, with all the stuff that was going on, and, you know, body still wasn't up to par, and all these things going on, all crazy things, you know, and the protocol was different. It was just one of those things like, in the back of our mind, we both felt like it just wasn't gonna, you know, it just wasn't gonna be right or whatever. Ow, my leg. It just felt like it wasn't gonna be right. Ouch. Oh. So anyway, it was just, you know, it was one of them things. Ow. I feel like I'm getting a child at heart. So anyway, it just kind of felt like it was just not gonna work anyway. So me and hubby really came together for this fourth one and was like, you know what, we about to get excited. The fourth one, I could honestly say the fourth FET, the transfer that we had, we probably was just as excited as we were with the first one. It took us a while to get there, and hubby was always optimistic. You know, he was always the one, it's gonna work, it's good. I was the opposite. You know, I was the one, what they want to say, you know how like you worst case scenario type deal. I'm that person. I'm always the one that expects the worst but wants the best type deal. And so I kind of set myself up so I won't be as upset if something were to happen or something was going to go wrong or whatever. So anyway, this fourth time, me and hubby literally was excited. He was like, look, we're gonna videotape this time, because as you know, with the third we didn't. And so excuse me, y'all, with the third we didn't, because it was just like, I feel like, okay, it's like you buy a new car, you get in the car, and you get to drive it like 4 times. The first time is very excited. The second time you're like, okay, you know, we getting in it, you know, whatever. The third time you're trying to get happy about it because, you know, you back in it. And then it's like you in it the 4th time, it's like, okay. But this time it's like, okay, no, we got a new radio system, we got some rims on that car, we got tint on it now, you know. So I feel like we're back to how we felt the first time when we drove. So anyway, and that was probably the most worst analogy ever, however y'all get what I'm saying. So anyway, you know, a little bit later, you know, this 4th one is kind of like, you know what, we're gonna be excited, we're gonna videotape every moment leading up to it, we're gonna videotape the moments during, we're gonna videotape the test out, we're gonna videotape the pregnancy test, we're gonna videotape the you know, the just how we're feeling, whatever. We're gonna try and videotape it all, you know. And I feel like that played a lot into this transfer. Number 4, I feel like this was a whole better experience than the last 2. The 2 in the middle. And so I can honestly say it takes a lot of prayer, a lot of me too. What really got to me is that I was too worried about if God loved me, because after I lost the girls and I had never been through anything with that, I had to get back to a place to feel like I was loved by God, you know. So that played a big part. I was like reading the Bible. I was like, so he said this, but then this happened, this, and I was just going through all kind of stuff. I mean, my mind. So I literally had to step back from reading. I had to regroup, and I just had to say, you know what? I'm just gonna say thank you. And literally, it was not like almost for what, a whole year since last year's transfer in February last year. From that to here, I literally, when I say my prayers, I literally was just thanking him for everything. Just that, you know, I was really genuinely thanking him for everything. And that was my prayer, because I had to step away from the things that I wanted. I wanted God to know that I was grateful. I said, you know what? I need to be thankful for what I have. And so it pulled me from always asking. Instead, I was thanking him, you know. Of course, I would ask God for his protection for my family and stuff like that, for his continued protection. Of course, I would ask, you know, God to watch over us while we sleep, and please forgive us for our sins, things like that. But as far as the little other things that may not have been lined up in his will, you know, and for me to, Lord, please, Lord, bless us with blah, 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 blah. No, it was just, Lord, thank you so much, and thank you for what's to come. And that was it. I literally had to step back because I was so into and so caught up into what I did wrong. It was just so much stuff, and so I had to get back to a happy place. So basically, that kind of leads me to when I was speaking to someone through email, and they were like, you know, after so many failed this and so many lost this, how do you continue to have that joy? And it takes patience, you know. It takes prayer. It takes patience. And you have to kind of focus on something else at times. I don't know if y'all have watched Tia and Tamara before, the twins. They have a show now. They're older, which is not out anymore right now, but there's older episodes. There's one episode that when she was looking for another job in acting, and her husband, I don't know which one it is, but it's the one that's married to the white guy, the baseball player. And she said, so anyway, she said, you know, she's constantly worried about this job stuff. It's driving her crazy. You know, her head's about to pop, and like us, you know, we all like, oh my God, it's overwhelming. It's just so much. And he said, look, he said, focus, look away, and refocus. And I thought, what is, you know, I kind of like, that sound like it could be going somewhere here, you know. And so he explained. She was like, what do you mean? And she said, you know, I don't know anything about baseball stuff. And he was like, you know, when the pitcher is getting ready to throw, he focus, he looks away, he focuses, and then he throw. And he was basically saying how what happens is you concentrate on this one thing, and you look away for a second, and you come back, and that refocuses, and you're more focused. And that's true with the same thing with you know, the journey of, you know, infertility is, and you know, it basically, you need that moment of finding something else to concentrate on, you know. And I feel like this last year we've been so focusing on getting our credit back, you know, the way we wanted to get it back. We've been so concentrated on trying to, you know, get a house and move, you know, and really, you know, spend that time with LeBron, you know, before he's not the only child anymore, and, you know, focus on just getting our relationship, our marriage, you know, where it needs to be, you know. And I can honestly say, like I said before, you know, our marriage is like at the best place possible. You know, we joke and clown on film all day, but really and truly, like, we have so much fun, you know, we really do. I mean, besides outside of working and stuff, when we're together and we're rolling and we're going places, you know, we really enjoy each other. We go out on dates. today he actually came home with some flowers, you know, for me. And they're really pretty. They're blue, they're like violet and purple with some sprinkles and all kind of stuff, you know. And so it's just, you know, we worked on us. So I mean, it's like I'm pretty sure there are things that, you know, you can possibly focus on. And I know it's so hard when you're not pregnant, and it's so hard when you don't have your baby in your arms, or you don't know how you're gonna pay for infertility or whatever case may be. But sometimes you need to take your focus off of that for just a little bit and focus on something else, you know, and then come right back to it and regroup and stuff. And so that's kind of my advice. You know, it is hard, you know, it's very hard, you know. And I just want to say, you know, don't ever give up. You lose when you give up, you know. That's when you can say, you know, oh, it's not gonna happen because you give up, you know. This is definitely not a journey for the weak. So you definitely are strong women. We are all strong, and I feel like we have the biggest support groups, you know, that's out there. And it, you know, it's so crazy, like there's women that I didn't even know that I wasn't even friends with on YouTube, like that I wasn't following their channel. Like that's how big we are. And I'm just like, I was scrolling through, and you know how you put on there like you know, just things to relate to what you're going through, and you're like, wait a minute, I'm not subscribed to her channel, like where I've been all this time, like, you know. So it's just one of those things, like we have a really big community, and I feel like we have a lot of loving people that wouldn't mind praying for you, wouldn't mind talking with you, wouldn't mind emailing, you know, wouldn't mind helping. So anyway, that's my video for today. That is my video for today, and I just, you know, kind of had it on my heart and wanted to kind of discuss that with y'all. And you know, hopefully that or this video can help someone in the midst. You know, I know a lot of people are upset about, you know, meds and insurance, and I've seen a lot of, you know, videos and posts, and I get a lot of emails and stuff. And there's a couple of ladies that, you know, I reach out to, and they're like, and I'm like, well, how's everything? Well, I don't want to talk about it. Nothing's changed. I'm trying to just not think about it. Just stuff like that. And you know, I know God is going to open up a door, and I know everybody's journey is different. Everybody's timing is different. You know, there were times when I was pregnant with other people that have their babies, and they got 2-year-old babies running, or toddlers running around, where I was supposed to have my girls. Then the next go round, you know, they have, you know, 8 months and 9-month-old baby. I'm just like, golly, like, you know, like every time I was pregnant with somebody else. And it's like, you know, we know it's not a race. However, it is a constant reminder that your race ended at that time, you know, and you had to start a new race. So I definitely understand the feelings. I definitely understand not seeing, you know, the road or the light at the end of the tunnel. But I could honestly say that, you know, don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. You know, keep striving, keep asking for help, keep looking around. You know, maybe what you're going to go through is what God needs you to go through, so that way you can help someone else, because everybody's situation is a little bit different. Everybody's story is a tad bit different, and everybody can bring a piece of the puzzle, you know, to this big puzzle that we call, you know, infertility. Like, goodness gracious. But anyway, guys, I want to say congratulations to all those that just recently had transfers. Last week we had somebody on last Tuesday. We had somebody on the Thursday. We had somebody on yesterday. Yeah, we had somebody on yesterday. We have some that are coming up that are going to be towards, I think, the middle or end of this month. We have some March transfers. Yeah, so I'm excited for everybody. I'm praying for the best. Yeah, so anyway, also, if you're not following me on Instagram, you may be missing out on some things. That's all I'm gonna share on there. I know I have not been sharing a lot of stuff. However, I will start sharing some things in another week. Okay, so another week I will be posting some things, so stay tuned. You don't want to miss anything. And yeah, I will holler at y'all later on the next video. Talk to y'all later. Bye.
You was right, baby.
Say it louder than that.
You was right! Like that.
Of course I was right. See him make a whole big old circle for nothing. Hey guys, so it just goes to show you that your husband